Oh, cut it off a little bit early. My bad, fam. Back in the house. What up, Webs?
You've ruined everything. Now we have to start all over
Uh,
again.
be all right. We'll be all right. As much as they love to see us.
Do.
Now we're back in the house one more time. Uh, Sports fans, it's Monday Eve, which is always an interesting day. Like I get a little anxious because Monday Eves generally bring like very weird vibes.
Did you know most heart attacks happen on Mondays?
I had no idea that was the case.
Also, there's a rise in heart attacks and strokes in the wintertime. Fun fact. And that is because it's cold, and so your blood vessels constrict, and that results in, platelets sticky and clogging up arteries and whatnot, which is why there is a significant uptick in heart attacks and stroke in the winter months.
Very interessante. The things we learn on Sunday evenings.
Indeed.
All right, sports fans. Today we're going to play around with the idea of tinkering. We're going to call this episode "Kool Mode Dee" because reasons. We're going to work today. For those who are hip hop fans and know who Kool Mode Dee actually is, big ups to you.
I did not.
Had to just educate Webs very, very quickly. This is the homie Kool Mode Dee. Loved Kool Mode Dee's music as a kid. He actually music you can play in your classroom. He doesn't he very rarely curses. If you go in Apple Music or Spotify and go to your find Kool Mode Dee's greatest hits, it's all gonna be clean music. It's gonna be 80s ish, lots of James Brown samples. But I Go to Work was like one of my motivational songs when I was a kid. Talks a lot about him, he channels what other professions do and kind of compares those to him being a rapper. The first, like the original song is like 7 minutes long or something crazy like that. It's a long song. But he goes in, the guy can flow. As I was telling Wes before we got on the show, LL Cool J kind of ended his career and kind of like soured his legacy a little bit. But I still love Kool Mode Dee. So if you're watching Kool Mode Dee, I still got love for you. I was listening to I Go to Work and How You Like Me Now a couple times yesterday, I believe. That's why you were stuck in my mind, bro. So keep it 100, my dude. Keep it 100, my dude. Now, in terms of this hustle, you can go check out Kool Mode Dee on his actual YouTube account. With Intelligent Hoodlums, catch us on the interwebs at www.theintelligenthoodlums.com and at Trust the Hoodlum on the Twitters, webs. Kind of give the people a brief introduction.
I'm Webs. If you're new to the program, I'm a software developer and I was a teacher and many other things, so many other things. And this is Mike Lang, and he likes to keep it real in the streets.
Indeed. I also like lemonade in my cold brew. So if you're not on the lemonade in your cold brew team, go ahead and do that, man. 1/3 lemonade, 2/3 coffee. It'll change your life, man. It'll change your
I'll
life.
have to see if Sunrise has lemonade. I've never asked if they had lemonade.
It'll change your life, man. Change your life. We're going to talk about tinkering. And tinkering is just like playing around with things, having people make things, pull things apart, put things back together, all that wonderful stuff. There are tons of ways to do this, but we're going to kind of show you a couple. Excuse me. We're going to start our hour off with, as we do every episode, with Ask the Software Developer Hustle. And we're going to kind of talk about the benefits of tinkering as a professional software developer, Webs. Like why should kids be tinkering in the school? Because what benefits are there in the software development world?
I'm going to give a completely different answer than what we talked about before. Actually, I was just thinking, so something that we do as software developers a lot is we have side projects. So we have little like passion projects, because sometimes the thing that you're doing for your job isn't necessarily the thing that you want to get better at, especially in software development. It's such a broad field of things to know that sometimes the thing that you're working on for your day job isn't the thing that you necessarily want to work on, or get better at or whatever. So side projects are a big like tinker thing. For example, like some of the side projects I have going on right now, I'm always reading up on security stuff. Also working on spinning up a Canvas instance specifically for us, which requires setting up like all the infrastructure, and I want it to go through like CI and CD, continuous improvement, continuous development. So I want to set up a pipeline to be able to deploy it. And so all of that is tinkering to figure out like how do these things work together and yeah, 20% time. Yep. How do these things work together? How do these things when I run into problems, how do I solve those problems? That sort of a thing. The answer that I gave when we were talking about it earlier was we have situations that come up like we'll be working on something and then there are constantly updates to the tools that we use. So a lot of times we'll end up in a position where like they update a tool and now we have to figure out how to do the workaround. I saw somebody on Twitter post something about Googling answers for a quiz, and someone responded, software developers Google like 90% of the answers for their day. And that's so true. Like we definitely do that. So I think that tinkering is about experimenting and problem solving and exploring the things that are interesting to you that will eventually, especially if that's the path you want to take, become the thing that you do for your job or some other project or whatever.
What up, Kofax?
Yeah, so there is definitely it's a common skill that we use in software development is just screwing around with stuff, trying to break it, taking stuff apart. If you're talking about legacy code and trying to figure out, like, if you join a new team, that's basically your whole job is to reverse engineer and figure out, like, how does this code work? Where would I put this piece in if I need to build some new feature or whatever? So yeah, it's a huge thing in software development.
Oh, very, very dope. Now, question for you. Now,
Yeah.
you've been in both the classroom and in software development. Why do you think that teachers are reluctant to give kids opportunities to tinker in the class?
Because I think we are trained and tend to uphold this idea that every minute of every day needs to be productive. I think I'd even zoom it way out. Like, I think as a society, that's what we tell people. Like, if you're not doing some productive thing, then you're wasting your time. I think we really need to reframe what time well spent looks like. Sometimes time well spent is binging a Netflix series because that's what you need in that particular moment. So I think especially in the classroom, there's this time crunch. There's this like never ending, always nipping at your heels time crunch. And that time crunch tends to be driven by we have to master the entire school year by the time the tests come around. And so the unfortunate thing is like genuine college and career readiness falls to the wayside in favor of we have to prepare for the test. I would argue that being able to tinker and problem solve is actually going to be beneficial even for testing time because it's about problem solving and you don't know what's going to be on that test. So if kids can't solve their own problems, then you're dead in the water. Like it's just not going to work.
Well, and I go further, like when you kind of use the Netflix example. Um, One of my favorite rappers, I believe one of your favorite rappers as well, Aesop Rock. There was a very great blog that had an interview with him. This is 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago, in which they asked him, like, where do you get your material from? Like, do you read a lot of? I don't read a lot. He watches a lot of television, a lot of movies, and he gets a lot of. So I sat, and I'm a big anime fan. I sat up last night and I watched a bunch of anime, and I got a bunch of ideas for how I want to change my course for this week. And it was just from seeing other people who are being creative, do creative stuff, and seeing how things interact. And you're like, all right, wow, that's really cool. I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna use that in my course for the week. So I think there's a lot to say of just putting yourself in a position where you're exposed to other people's philosophies, whether that's through reading, whether that's through taking a nap and dreaming about something, whether it's watching Netflix, whether that's hanging out with your friends or whatever. But you will start to tinker on your own with different pieces of ideas if you're exposed to lots of ideas. And I think where school kind of falls short in a lot of ways is exposing you to one idea, one system of being, one system of knowledge, and saying this is how you are right, rather than allowing people to wander around in the wilderness for a little while, get knocked in the head and get lost, and then suddenly have to find a way back home that's different from the way that you got there. And that in and of itself, I think, gives you different perspectives on how to solve problems.
I think too, not media shaming. Like I think that happens a lot. We just saw this in a comment the other day. Like why aren't people teaching Shakespeare anymore? Like this idea that there is some hierarchy of media, that certain media is, you know, more important or more something that should be, you know, held up to this on this pedestal as compared to other media. I know there's a lot of teachers who look down on, or people in general. I'm not even limited to teachers, just people in general who look down on movies, who look down on graphic novels and comic books, who look down on YouTube videos as a source of information and entertainment. And I think most of that random thing that I quoted earlier, I believe came from an episode of SciShow. So like shaming those media formats because they aren't the classics, I think needs to go.
Well, and the classics are old white dudes, right? So
Oh yeah, 100%.
it also is a situation where if you haven't read outside the old white dudes, then perhaps you need, to avail yourself of some more contemporary ways, more contemporary stories and ways of getting those stories to people. Because um, the other very interesting thing about classics is a lot of them are overrated. Again, I've read most of the. I read James Joyce, and some James Joyce I really like. Finnegan's Wake I dug, Ulysses I dug. Some of his stories are absolute crap. You can tell he was high on drugs when he wrote them, and you're like, okay, cool. This only a drug addict could actually conceive of what you're talking about. When
Mm-hmm.
you read Ulysses and you read the longest sentence ever written in the English language, you like, now, first of all, how high do you have to be to even conceive of a sentence this long? Like, you really are blowing some good stuff at this point, homie. So when you look at it, you're like, okay, first of all, that sentence was nonsense, but it is what it is, right? Yeah, this is classic material. You read it so that you can have, conversation with people at tea parties or whatever. But just because, like, again, I love art. I will go walk through art museums, and people say this is amazing. You're like, no, that person just dribbled some paint on a canvas. That is not amazing to me. Now I'll go and look at some other stuff, and people, no, though that's very simple. I'm like, that's really dope to me. So I think a lot of it is a lot of opinion too. So when people start talking
Yeah,
about
subjective.
classics, you're like, dude, come on, man, come on. I think classics that's totally an opinion that people are putting out there. So it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. So
Did we explain 20% time or
no,
just bring it
no,
up and then?
not there yet. Not there. I didn't
Oh,
explain.
okay, all right.
We're good. All right. So kind of the we're gonna pop into the 20% time just because Webb's kind of mentioned she kind of talked around 20% time, and it is a strategy that you don't necessarily have to embrace totally. You can embrace parts of it, but 20% time is kind of an interesting hustle. So there are tons of people, AJ Giuliani, etc. But John Spencer, who I tend to rely on a lot of times just for like very short videos of things. If you Google search John Spencer, and I'm actually going to just copy this link and I'll text it to you, Web, so you can throw it in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you do that, I'd appreciate it. Excellent. So that link kind of walks you through that. We're not going to watch it on air. Take you some time. It's really really short. It's not it's a pretty. I think it kind of stands true to the hustle. So what's that, Webs?
It sent me the text, but not the link.
Cool.
So I mean, I can paste that into the comments,
Indeed.
but I don't think it's gonna help people. Oh, that's great.
Very bad. All right, let's do it this way. That's hilarious. That should send you to the actual video.
Okay.
All right, awesome. So
There it is.
excellent. So it looks like this. Very, very short. It's sketched out. It's less than 2 minutes. It will kind of explain to you exactly what 20% time is. But like in terms of a higher level view there, just giving kids the opportunity to say, you know what, I really like Minecraft. Let me play around in Minecraft for 20% of my time. I really like Roblox. Let me play around in the Roblox world. I like making candy. I like experimenting with slime, whatever it happens to be. Excuse me. A lot of the tools that we have, especially from Google, have been from people generating those things in their 20% time. It was not actual Google products. It was, if I'm not mistaken, I know Google Keep came out of that scenario. Google Music Lab, which you're going to look at tonight, came out of that scenario. There's a couple other ones. You know any other the 20% time tools?
Um, it's playing somewhere and I can't hear you.
Oh, very bad. I'm not playing it.
And no, it might very well be me,
I,
but I can't find it.
check your messages.
I did. It's not playing in my messages.
Hilarious. I don't know.
Nope.
It's very
Please hold.
interesting.
Is it in a. This is all kinds of fun.
Indeed, indeed.
I don't have any idea where this is playing.
It'll be finished. Like it's only a minute and 40 seconds, so it should finish.
Yeah.
All right. So the 20% time hustle. Go ahead.
Yeah.
The 20% hustle, something generally to deal with, is something great to add to your bag of tricks, but also design thinking. And design thinking doesn't have to be this like huge, convoluted, confusing thing. Design thinking, if you go right to IDEO's website, they have everything set up here. It's really, really a simple thing. You go to the toolkit, and the toolkit looks just like that. And they have the second version up there. One of the easier things I do to have kids tinker around with design thinking is like literally go to any tool. Doesn't matter what tool it is, Flipgrid, some of the tools that we're going to show you this evening, and just literally go through and find a use for it and put the onus for what the use case for the tool back on the kid. What could you use this for in your daily walk through life? You still can't find it?
Can you unmute yourself?
Can I unmute myself? Am I muted? I'm muted?
I can't make it stop. It's
Oh.
moved on to a new video, and I've shut down everything, and I can still hear it.
All right, it's not on my side. That's hilarious, yo.
I have no idea where this is. I've shut down my messages. I've shut down my browser.
That's hilarious. I don't have it open.
I'll be right back.
All right, that sounds cool. All right, obviously, that's interesting. Let me go in. That's extremely interesting. Anyway, I'll hold down the fort until Webbs gets back. It's all good. All right, here we go. So the Design Thinking Hustle is available. It's just ideos.com. Their idea, their information for educators rather. The toolkit is there. We do a lot of stuff with design thinking, so I know I'll come back and forth to it, but it is worth, even if you're totally not interested in utilizing your pedagogy, it's worth looking through. They have a second edition that's there. And it's all based in kind of those real life scenarios, helping kids do stuff in real life. So that being the case, design thinking is off. Let them build stuff. And, if you have your, like my students, the Roblox situation is like really, really big. Minecraft is really big. And those things are really big because it allows them to go explore and to build things. So how can we go and look at those scenarios? All right, cool. Look at those scenarios in the same way and those kind of tools in the same way without necessarily having to be Minecraft or Roblox, proficient. So let's check that out. Or let's check this out rather. So first, let's go and look at. This is Tinkercad, and we kind of referred to Tinkercad last week. And Tinkercad already has lesson plans built into it. It's built for older students, but my kindergartners and my first graders are going to play around with it this week. All right, I'm going to kind of show you a little bit, perhaps what you could do with the smaller students. But you have the ability to bring in classes, so you can build in classes by subject, etc. Create classes inside here. I haven't added my classes for the week yet, but the reason why I like Tinkercad is kids. Did she pop in? Perhaps she did. I don't know. Let's see. No, she didn't. All right, so let's do it this way. Got the homie Webs trying to get back in here. Let me just give me a second. Oops. There we go. So in the grand scheme of things, like it's not very difficult to deal with. That's kind of what we're gonna walk through really quickly. It's not really difficult to rock and roll with. There we go. The homie Webs is back. Can you hear us? Yo, Webs, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool again. All right, some interestingness from your point of view, but it's all good.
So weird. Like I shut everything down and it was still just blasting in my ear and I couldn't hear anything.
Extremely interessante.
Very.
We've moved on to kind of looking at Tinkercad right now. So Tinkercad really is just a workspace, and if your kids have any experience with Minecraft or again Roblox or anything when they have to build things, Legos, this is essentially just a plane here, right? The plus sign here, I can make it bigger, make it smaller. I can go back and forth. I can copy and paste things. Great. But up here in the top right hand corner is where I'm going to get. Oops. Come on. I had to move my screen over just a little bit. I'm going to get my Minecraft. I can get my. This is where you're going to really look at your Minecraft integrations here. So if your kids are Minecrafters, they'll be able to deal with it. So I can import bricks from places for anything that's a 3D file. I can export it. But I can also, again, Minecraft stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Come on. And I'm going to do that. And why are you being silly, my friend? There we go. So, got these Lego blocks now here. I can move those Lego blocks. There we go. Move those Lego blocks and add those Lego blocks as much as I would like. It's really a interesting thing when kids can start to, any kid who has experience, this is where I was talking about the fact that your 5-year-olds, your 6-year-olds, any kids who have experience with blocks, this is not going to be something that's extremely intimidating to them, I'll say. So, my blocks are there. Let's see, we'll do it that way. Great. I don't know why are you being silly? There we go. Let's see, bring my first block over. So I'm going to play with it not in Minecraft mode. For some reason, my blocks are being silly. Now, the first time I gave this to students, people freaked out. Oh my God, Mr. Lang, what are we doing? I don't have no idea how to do any of this stuff. And then kids started playing around and clicking things and moving things around. And it really becomes a situation where now with no engineering skills, no idea about any of these things, you've got scribbles, you've got hearts, you've got rings, you've got dice, all this kind of stuff. And you can go through here and you can make even more interesting things. So the Smithsonian has some stuff that you can play around with from their collection of things. You got skeletons that you can build inside here. Just text and numbers, so it's also really cool just to play around with. I'm just gonna bring some text in. Move that around. Come on, why are you being silly? There we go. Moving things around, I can play around with those things. I can build my name. So one of the things we had when I was back at school is we had kids build their names inside Tinkercad, send them out as a 3D STL file, and then we 3D printed them. So the kids had a little name tag and whatnot. You do the same thing inside this deal here. All the letters are there, all the numbers. So if you're somebody who's a kindergarten teacher, great. This, instead of you learning as you learn your letters, great. I'm gonna go and spell my name out, and this is going to work on your iPad, it'll work on your Chromebook, and it'll work on whatever. And we're not really doing anything high level. We're just taking letters and putting them on the screen there. Great. Export it. You can export it to STL file. STL file will allow you to print it 3D. You can export it also. If you have a 3D printing account that you want to send something to, a lot of these are services that will 3D print them and mail them to you as well. I know MakerBot does that. So if you wanted to have a situation where your kid, so if you have a child at your house and you wanted that kid to go and play around with these things, you could send the STL files to them and rock and roll that way as well. But what I've had kids do is just screenshot the things. I have a student now she's in middle school, that she had to go and prototype rocket ships, kind of like the one I have the kinders do this week, for kindergartners about 3 or 4 years ago. And she still is on her account making Tinkercad stuff. She shoots me screenshots and stuff all the time. But this is a thing that you don't necessarily have to be. You don't have to be someone who even knows how to do this. This is a place where you can throw a kid at, especially when you get to circuits. And circuits, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's a fourth grade standard, third grade science standard, fourth, not remembering. But they have all the assemblies and things built in here, and those circuits and components, if set out correctly, will actually work. So instead of having the kids have to physically have the ability to set the circuits up, if they build the circuit the correct way, their circuit should work inside of Tinkercad as well. So that's a really dope way to take those science standards and make those things possible as well there. But I really love this deal. I don't know why my blocks aren't working the way they're supposed to work. That's just really weird. Oh, you know why? Because sometimes, oh my gosh, sometimes I'm a freaking genius. So let me go ahead and do this. So I don't want to export that. One of the things that again, tinkering with things. So I'm going to take these things, I'm going to put these things all in here. Okay, cool. And I'm going to put the scribble there. And the scribble is cool again for kindergartners. They can just scribble, and that scribble is going to see how that scribble pops up there. Really, really cool. Now I didn't even do anything. I just scribbled. I literally just scribbled on the page, and now it's this 3D thing. So giving kids the opportunity. Art teachers. If we have art teachers in the house, 3D art, and all the kid had to do was scribble on it. And so this is how you can take this down to the K1 level, because really, if I hit the scribble option, I could just scribble it the same way that I was doing it before. So now, if I go here, bada bing, there my Minecraft world rocks out, and I've got my block of diamond, my ice, my pump, the same language your kids were dealing with. There I go with my Minecraft world, and all I had to do is scribble some stuff. So I'm getting those blocks like in Minecraft. God bless you. That's really cool, right? Sometimes I forget my own process. So that is Tinkercad. It's totally free. You can log in with Google. So all our Clark County School District friends, all your kids have Google email addresses. I'm going to be presenting this. My kids are going to, our kinders and first graders are going to be creating prototype spaceships. What we did, and I'm going to show you that very, very quickly, just because I think I showed this before. PBS.org has, for parents, and I'm using it for my kinders, they have all these famous people reading stories. So it's pbs.org/parents/read-along. And so what we did was Carla Hall, who's my favorite foodie type people, she read My Rainy Day Rocket Ship about a kid who's stuck inside and dreams of being an astronaut. He uses a brown box as his spaceship, etc. Kids got excited. Great. Now you're going to build your own spaceship, but we're going to 3D make it into 3D spaceship and rock and roll with it.
I feel like this would be a great tool to integrate into that birdhouse unit thingy I'm doing.
Facts.
So they could do their birdhouse on Tinkercad.
Facts. So again, playing around with the tools. That's when you can just let kids' imaginations go run wild. They get it on the iPad, they use their finger. On their Chromebook, they're using their mouse to build the stuff. And it's really not something that's uber intensive. And like generally, I haven't had too many kids like, oh my God, Mr. Light, I don't know what I need to do. Webs, anything to add?
say, like, I don't know if you said this already in my little. I feel like every episode we have, I have some kind of random adventure. Um, I I think this is where like having that opportunity to just play around with things for a little while and not have that everything have some deep meaningful purpose. Like if they mess around with this, it gives them an opportunity to like experiment without having to stress over getting it right for an assignment or getting it right for some specific task. So like play around and enjoy because play is fun.
Indeed. Like I say, literally, that's what I do most nights is just play around and go down, excuse me, go down rabbit holes. And going down a rabbit hole allows you to know. I mean, there's a reason why. I mean, you talk about tripped out authors. I mean, Alice in Wonderland is a pretty far out story if you've actually read the unabridged Alice in Wonderland. So again, the little kid story, that crap does nothing, no justice whatsoever to the actual story, homie. But anyway, Lewis Carroll was definitely somebody who was abusing some kind of uh, narcotic in order to dream up that stuff.
Today's theme, authors who do drugs.
Oh, indeed. And you,
I feel like this is in real time why it's important to have a PLN that is varied and isn't just people in your same grade level who do your same job at your same school. Because just right now, having looked at this, because I hadn't played with Tinkercad before, playing with this made me realize like, oh, hey, this fits into a lesson that I'm working on. So that's real time why it's important to have differing people from different backgrounds, even different professions, to bounce ideas off of and to show you new stuff.
and
Computer, living room on.
also the deal is don't let one of the things that I've noticed with some parents, and I had to kind of talk some parents down, was, oh my goodness, they're not 10. And you're like, slow your roll. We're gonna be fine. Let them
Games with like 5 friends.
perhaps. Okay. Looking at the streaming monitor. Okay. All right, it's back on there. All right. Oh, dude, this is a curse episode.
Great.
Mad curse episode.
For reals.
That's deep. All right. Anyway, we got to the Tinkercad thing. Like one of the things before we were broken, we were stopped. Just looking at the idea that it is possible to have students who perhaps are not of the same age kind of play around with the age that is recommended for play around with the tool. I think that's really important. And it saddens me a lot of times where again, whether consciously or subconsciously, you'll have somebody say, "Yo, I don't think that's appropriate." And you're like, it's essentially blocks. That's essentially what this is blocks. If the kid can play with blocks in real life, they can play with blocks virtually as well. It's not something that's going to be cost prohibitive. I mean, not cost prohibitive, but it's not going to prohibit them from experimenting and perhaps failing. In failing, there's nothing wrong with failing. If you get frustrated, it's totally cool, not a problem. We keep it moving, and we're going to be all right. All right, so that's where I kind of I don't know. I had a parent question the whether or not her student should be doing some of the things that we were doing. It was like, oh, he's getting frustrated. And I was like, good.
Like that's interesting. Just slight tangent. Kind of going back to the real life application. If I quit every time I got frustrated with my job, I would not be employed anymore. I think that there is what is that? Snowplow parents. Have you ever heard of the term snowplow parent?
No.
Okay, and I think teachers are equally as guilty of this at times. Basically, the idea being that they plow the path for the kids so that they never encounter any challenges, they never encounter any frustration. And in a job, you will probably encounter frustration, and you have to have experience like on how to handle that frustration. So if a kid hasn't experienced frustration and then the first time they experience it is middle school, high school, college, their career, and their reaction to it is extreme anger, throwing things, yelling at people because they haven't had to experience that before, that's not healthy for one. That's not healthy for them or the people around them. So or experiencing that frustration early on and understanding what their limits are and when they need to walk away from a problem is important. So yeah, frustration is a useful tool when dosed appropriately.
But yeah, and I think so, and sometimes we misinterpret frustration. Sometimes it's not frustration, it's just me like I can't do that. Okay, cool. How do we go and going back to the Google aspect? There is not one special person on the planet that you have problems that no one else experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as we understand that the experience that I'm doing, what I'm experiencing right now, someone else has experienced. Let me Google it and see how that person overcame it or how they cope with it, etc. I
I'm
think that's the big deal. I mean, when you start to put yourself in this like this vacuum where I'm the only one. No, that's not true, fam. Go ahead, Webs.
that's like 90% of my job is running into a problem and then seeing who else has had that problem before me.
Absolutely, and that's what the hustle is. It just kind of look.
Yeah.
I could not. 5 years ago, when my first garbage disposal died, I had never put a garbage disposal in ever. And I'm like, how do I do this? Oh, YouTube man comes on and says, hey, this is how you do it. I walk the box with each step. I didn't know. I didn't need to know how to do garbage disposal. I just needed to know where to go so someone could walk me through the steps and putting a garbage disposal, so I didn't get electrocute myself and lose an arm. Go ahead, Webs.
More wisdom from my roommate. I remember shortly after he moved in, I wanted to replace an outlet, and it seemed like a bigger job than I had ever done before, and so I was like, I don't know if I can do that, whatever. And he's like, the person who built this house was just a person. The
Back.
person who invented electricity was just a person. The person who built all the things that are around you was just a person. So like, why would you think that you can't do that?
Absolutely. And that's kind of where the tinkering comes in, right? These are not magic people. These are people who learn just like you did. So if we take a look at this tool, and so this is one of the things that has constantly been frustrating me with, I have two grade levels that are exclusively Chromebook. And so I have to, rather than just do everything on the iPads like I'm used to, I have to figure out other ways to get information to these students that allow them to be as creative as all the other students are going to be with the iPads. And so if you're not familiar with 123 apps, this is a place for you if you are someone interested in kids being very creative. This is a place you can do that because they have an audio cutter, so they can cut a piece out of music. So if you needed to have a piece of music edited, any audio that you have on your computer that you need to join, you can convert audio. So if you've got a WAV file and you want to make it an MP3 or whatever, you can do that. If you need to convert video online, you can do that. You need to cut sections out of video, you can do that. The video recorder, voice recorder, archive extractor, so taking any compressed file and taking that out. And then for our friends who love PDFs, there are PDF tools that are built into 123 apps. Splitting them, merging them, compressing them, converting them to Word, converting Word to PDF, PDF to Excel, Excel to PDF, PDF to JPEG, turning them into HTML and having adding page numbers to them, PDF, PowerPoint to PDF, rotating the PDFs, protecting the PDFs, unlocking the PDFs, and turning pictures to PDFs. So if you just want to go PDF crazy, you can do that as well. Now, I hate PDFs other than for giving people information. Like you give me something I need to read or something like that, PDF it on. You need me to sign something, PDF it on. But if you want kids to actually do work, let's not PDF stuff. That's just me personally. Webb's thoughts.
I mean, I agree with you. Like, unless you're creating a document like maybe an infographic or something,
but I like this tool for the video recorder. So your Chromebooks do have a webcam. That video recording option, all you need to do is click it. There is no login or anything like that. Nothing. That's going to pop on the screen. You hit the play button, you handle your business. You can take selfies throughout the picture, throughout the process as well. The other thing to do is kind of really exploit a flip grid rather. If you want to add some funk and stuff to your videos, but if you just want kids to really quickly send you a shout out, hey, Mr. Lang, I'm really good. This is my problem or whatever. Play button, they record and they handle their business. Really
where does
quick.
it save it to?
So you can save it. I'm just going to do this. Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Lang. You got 45 minutes worth of stuff. You can save it by just downloading to your device.
Okay.
So boom, 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 move it to your Google Drive, handle your business. Really, really quick. Doesn't take very much effort, and it's 45 minutes of video. So if they wanted to go and read a Shakespearean play in 45 minutes, they could do that.
Nobody should be recording 45-minute video.
If you wanted to record them joints, hit the delete it. Yes, delete the video after I'm finished downloading it, and do what you do. All right. So that one is really, really cool to deal with. The other one I really like is the voice recorder. So again, all they need to do is recording it. It's free and it's online. They can silence it with they can have auto trim the silence. So if they have a situation where they pause in between or something like that, it's gonna get rid of it. You can cut it, play. I'm gonna allow that really quickly. Hello, this is Mr. Lang, and I'm straight chilling right now because I'm chilling like a villain, and that's what I do. Great, fine, dandy. You can play it. Hello, this is Mr. Lang, and I'm straight chilling right now because I'm excellent. So if you want a podcast like on a whim, there's your podcast on a whim. Hit the save button, same way that it did, and you just download that directly onto your device and handle your business. All right, really, really cool tool. Get rid of that. Do you want to finish editing? Yes, I'm finished the editing. Great to find dandy. It allows you to choose whatever mic you have connected to your machine as well. And so if you're looking for quick voice recording, quick video recording, 1, 2, 3 apps, lets you do that instantaneously. It should be one of the it'd be one of the places that I would send kids so they can make sure that they save that on their device so that if they need to do any of those processes, you can do those processes very, very, very quickly. All right. So 1, 2, 3 apps, they can play around with it. They can make their own. If you need them to read something and send it to you, you can do that. There's tons of different applications for it, but this is a tool that has saved my bacon the last 2 or 3 weeks in terms of having it be online. Every kid should be able to access to it. It's also accessible on the iPads. If for some reason you didn't want to use voice memos and some of the built-ins on the iPad, you can do it on the iPad as well. Webbs, anything to add?
Nope.
All right, cool. And again, second deal, removing the background on video. So for our patrons on Patreon, one of the things I'm going to walk you through is building custom gift packs for your students this week. So you're going to get like a walkthrough all the way through on how to build those custom gift packs. This tool is really, really cool. They just went to a price model, but you don't have to do it with the price model at all. I'm going to upload a clip really, really quickly. Excuse me one. Let me go to my pictures. I don't want to do that. I'm going to send myself something really quickly. Phone. On my phone. I don't know. I'll do it later on. So anyway, here we go. Upload a clip of some kind. I don't know what that is. What that is at all. All right, cool. You fucking PDF. That's not. It's me being silly. That's looking at the wrong stuff. I thought I had my desktop thing. Anyway, you can build GIFs inside here really, really quickly and download them right to your device. You can also add backgrounds to them. And I had an example on my iPad. I don't know where my iPad is right now. So I'm going to go throw backgrounds behind there. Building GIFs, if you're talking about reactions to math problems, reactions to the reading or whatever, being able to put a GIF on there is really, really quick and really cool. It does a pretty good job when there's like some contrast between the images there. You don't only want to do it 3 or 4 seconds. And again, for our patrons, you'll get like a walkthrough of how to do this this evening. Not this evening, but Monday morning. We'll have that inside the Patreon. Our patrons will have that inside the Patreon. But that uploading the clip there, 3 or 4 seconds is all you need. You can build your own GIFs. It's really cool. Photop, we also have used, we kind of mentioned this previous, but Photop is like open source
Photoshop.
So you don't really need to know how to use Photoshop to play around with this. It's pretty intuitive. It will take PDFs and do stuff. So if you're in Team PDF, if you want to go in and add some funky stuff to your PDFs, it's worth playing around with. It'll save things as PNGs and all kind of stuff, but it's a really, really cool tool just to play around with. If you just wanted to make I mean, like literally, you can make anything inside here. If you want kids to build their own posters or get a name tag for themselves, you want them playing around with their logos or anything, add text, all that kind of stuff. It's really kind of a frontward-facing, easy tool to play around with. You've got tons of fonts and stuff like that. So this is definitely a tinkerer tool. Um, if you have not, and I'll put my homie Sean Higgins. Sean Higgins is like a really creative. He's a PBS digital innovator like myself. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram. He does a lot of really interesting things. He's the guy that I kind of got the custom gift packs from. He is at SPH, 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 SPH. It's like 6 times SPH's initials as his Twitter handle. But Sean Patrick Higgins is his name. Really dope dude to play around and to make stuff with and play around with. He does a lot of graphic design work, and he's a PC person. So if you're using Chromebooks, he's probably going to be giving you some hints and some tips and some ideas that are going to be more in your world. Webs and I are more Mac people, but it is what it is. So that Photo P, definitely something to play around with. And then lastly, again, big into music, fam. The folk song maker. If you just want kids to create their own backgrounds to videos and stuff like that, their own theme music and things like that, and you do not have access to GarageBand, or the other thing is Soundtrap. Soundtrap, though, is only going to give you like 30 days free before you have to pay like $1,000 or something ignorant for it, or whatever it is. It's just not. It's a
Good
cool
grief.
tool. It's a cool tool, but it's just not a tool that's built for it. This tool is going to give the ability to create music for littles all the way to 12th graders just by using colors and patterns. And so I utilize this all the time. I'm going to change that to piano. I'm going to make that a drum kit. And let's make that actually woodwind. So letting them play with tempo, speeding it up, moving it down, speeding it up, moving it down. They can also use the microphone to add a little vocals to it, but they can save this. And if they're on their deal, they can download this as a WAV file. So if they want to take that and upload the thing, they can rock and roll. All right. So,
Dude, the rhythm tool is addicting.
you know what I'm saying? So real dope. So one of the things I challenge the kids to do is not use create your own background music for your videos. That song, when we play the music at the beginning of our episodes, that's all just GarageBand. I played around with GarageBand and built it. It's not magic. It's something that your kids can do as well. Playing around with things. There are tutorials online. They don't have to give all their information from you. I think that's another thing that kind of thing that we need to pivot away from. The teacher does not have to be the fount of all knowledge, and if the teacher doesn't know it, doesn't mean that the kids won't have an opportunity to learn it. YouTube is vast. There are plenty of people, plenty of creative that can show you how to do 1,000,001 things without you having to reinvent the wheel. So, yeah, that music lab is really dope. Really love that tool. And it's like really simple. Like kindergartners, this is one of the things that their first lesson with me is just this tool exists. Use colors and whatnot to play around with stuff. The last thing is looking at, I'm gonna look at library here. I've really been into playing around inside Common Lit for the last week. And the reason why is because it gives me an anchor now to force kids to say, we're going to half read a story, and then you're going to have to create something based on that story. And so this Jesus Cologne deal is really cool if you're dealing with that kind of that BLM and that social, that like the social change deal. But Claude McKay's Land of the Free was one of the things that kind of the fifth graders are reading. The Watsons Go to Birmingham in 1963. So this is something that I kind of brought them. It's a ninth grade text, so I kind of gave them some cliff notes on it. It does read it aloud for them, but it also is a scenario where I want you to now tinker with some art or some music. How does it make you feel? What else could you do in order to express yourself? I don't really worry about the tests and stuff like that. I just like this. And shout out, first of all, shout out to Tina Zeta. My Canadian friends have an idea called provocations, like provoking a kid to kind of like say stuff. And so at the beginning of the school, beginning of the lesson, they don't call it like, oh, let's go back and think about, our opening, our warm up. This is our provocation. This is kind of the thing that we're going to deal with. Nisha, if you're a big philosophy fan, Nisha has a very cool idea in which he says the main goal of a teacher is to injure the student in a like philosophical way. And what by
It's like
injure,
muscle.
yeah, like, but also to provoke them into this like this response where, oh, that hurt me, that's forcing me to consider some different ideas about how things work. And his idea is that as that scabs over, it makes that skin tougher. So I had to be able to defend why I believe things or why I decided that wasn't the way to deal with stuff. And that really is it's a very interesting concept. So if you're a fan of Nisha, Nisha does do a lot of thought in that education space. He was also insane, but I think all geniuses are insane. We kind of been down that route today.
Insane or high.
Indeed, I mean, and sometimes you're both.
Yeah, it's true.
So, those are like some really like basic. Oh, I totally forgot about So Code Spaces. This is another place if your kids are really into Minecraft and stuff like that. It's AR VR stuff. It's again not something that's going if they already have some Minecraft background. This is not stuff that's going to scare them at all. You can build your own classes inside here, and you can code it as well. And so I deleted a lot of my stuff from last year. My sauce stuff is in here. You can create your assignments and stuff inside here. I got rid of all my sauce kids. Let me see, gallery stuff. So this is stuff that people have built inside here. But murder mysteries, animal vocabularies, it's stuff. All of you can build your own assets or you can bring them in. But the cool thing about the situation is you can code once you're inside here. And so I bought the premium, and I think they got rid of all my premium stuff from last year. Yeah. I don't have the premium version of it anymore because like last year it made sense. But like there's a lot of really, really cool stuff inside here.
On iPad too, Reality Composer is a pretty easy one to use.
Yes. So all just built into the code spaces. And I can look around.
So you can build like a whole little world.
Yep. So if you're again, kids into Minecraft and stuff like that, they can build their own stuff. If it's coded, you can click on certain things and things pop off. It's really.
This could also be something like I'm going to build the setting for my story, or I'm going to build, examples of how math concepts work. Like there's like so many options.
And it's not like it's something. It doesn't have to be something that you are a master of. It could be just I'm going to see what these kids can do with this tool. Here's an option. Go play around with this stuff and see what pops off.
So going back to what you were saying about teacher as font of knowledge, like moving away from that, it could be a situation where you simply introduce this tool to the kid, say, hey, this is a thing. Maybe you spend 5-10 minutes of your day letting them explore some new tool, and the kid may come up with how they'd use that tool to present whatever assessment you're doing for a given skill. Like you also don't have to have that tight of control on what's happening. You can just say, here are some tools for your tool belt. If you find a way to meet these criteria to show me you know how to do XYZ, that works.
All the Adobe stuff. So you still have your Adobe Spark, your post, and your page. Those things are really, really just graphically dealing with stuff and page. And I love the Adobe stuff just because it's pretty simple. The most difficult part of Adobe is logging in for my students. Once they figure out how they need to log in, everything else is kind of like straightforward. I just give you the thing to build your posters or your web page or whatever you need to build. But it's really Again, a system that's really, really simple. And so if you're someone who's using Chromebooks, 1, 2, 3 apps, again, I cannot, this is a really, really easy way to have kids quickly voice recorder. Tell me about how your day went. Boom, da 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 da. There it goes. Uh, excuse me, the video recorder. Great. I don't even want you to log in the Flipgrid. I just want you to very quickly, yo, Mr. Lang, I understood this. I didn't understand that. This was dope, cool. Put it as the assignment, the answer to one of my assignments in Google Classroom, whatever it is, without having to go through a bunch of logins or anything like that. I just want quick creation, and there you go. And that again, 1, 2, 3 apps has saved my bacon multiple times. Again, if you have some teacher that's like, hey, I'll need PDF tools, they have the PDF tools thing in there. So that if they want to go and PDF people's brains out, they can PDF people's brains out.
So I have a couple things to throw in, if that's okay.
Oh, handle your business, Holmes.
So there's Blockly. Do you know Blockly? I don't know what you know and like already. I'm probably telling you things you already know. I just sent you the link.
Yep.
Blockly is basically JavaScript coding, but in blocks. So like if you want a kid to be able to experiment with what does it look like to do this particular logic, to create a list, to make a little program, like a really common one would be like a number picker, a random number picker, or I'm gonna build it's kind of like what's that other one people use a lot? That's also blocks and the sprites, and I can't think of what it's called. Starts with an S, MIT.
Oh, you're talking about the cat.
Yep. Yep, we both got a Google Scratch.
Scratch, yeah.
I was like, it starts with an S. The thing that I struggled with Scratch was because of the whole sprites thing. I always struggled with coming up with what should I do with my sprites. So if you're looking for a non-sprite alternative to, but still the block programming, Blockly is pretty cool. The other thing, like graduating on from Blockly, because I think blocks are very like visually friendly. As a starter for seeing patterns, right? Like that's one of the earliest things that we learn is the whole patterns thing. So block programming is nice for when you want to visually see what is happening. Like I can see I have a purple block and then that takes a blue block, and then I have a green block which takes a purple block, and so on and so forth. The next step beyond that would be something probably like Glitch. Glitch will set up an actual like code-based program, like a little project, and the kid can build that project out a little bit further with basic HTML and CSS, and I think it includes some JavaScript as well, because I think it's primarily based on like building, and it has some basic starters for like a static website. So if you want to go beyond Google, you can use a tool like Glitch for the kids to be able to like set up their own project and do something that's more like directly writing code.
Dope. Again, do you need to know how to write code in order to present this stuff to your kids?
Nope. Just give them the option. That's all you really have to do.
So those things are one of the things I start kids on. It's Code Combat is really dope. And this is Python and Java there. They've done a lot of if you got kids who are gamers, this is one of the things to deal with. The first world is free. Then every other world you have to pay for. So I just let them have to do the first world. If they want to beg their mom, dad, sister, brother for Christmas or whatever, give me a subscription or whatever, great. But it's really, really dope to play around with. And the first joint is free. And the kids really, it's a really, really, really fun for your kids who are into like Legend of Zelda, any of the RPG type games like that. You essentially coach people through those deals. It's really a fun game to play around with. And generally, I just throw it out there so the kids have free time. They can play around with it. I don't lead them through it at all. Just say, hey, cool, this is something you can do if you're interested in this particular hustle. So, yep, Code Combat. So Glitch, didn't know about Glitch. That's cool. Blockly knew about. Tinker, of course, is another one, especially for your littles. Tinker, it does cost a little bit of money, but there are some free ones that are inside there. but it's block coding and whatnot. This is generally what I show kids at the beginning for the little kids to deal with. And you also have, if you have iPads, you got all their free, free coding materials on the iPads as well. So, and coding doesn't have to be the tech class thing. It could be English because it's language. It could be math because it's math. It could be science because it's science. It could be art because it's design. Like there's plenty of ways to integrate this meaningfully into your coursework. Indeed, indeed. Anything else to add, Webbs?
I think the only other thing is like part of the reason something I think that gets lost about integrating coding, because there's been a big push to integrate coding. The important part is, I think, the logical thinking behind it and being able to create things. That's the powerful thing about code. So being like thinking through the if statements of what happens. Like one of the projects I did when I was in the classroom was I'd have students create like methods or functions to describe their day, and I didn't use that language until after, but I basically had them build a when I wake up in the morning, these are the steps that I go through kind of recipe. And then afterward we would talk about an algorithm, a function, a method, and how that pattern repeats itself. And that's really more what we're talking about, is that logic. And like, oh, if it's raining outside, then I wear my rain boots, or if it's snowing outside, then I wear a jacket. And so you get into that, like how you have those logic branches, and that is more about problem solving and logical thinking. And that's really the important part of coding, not just the I'm going to plop you down in front of a thing and enjoy. That said, it's still important to be able to just kind of mess around with stuff without the pressure of, oh, I have to have an assignment.
Well, I mean, I think Legos. Every time I think about stuff, like I didn't follow directions for Lego packs. I just built what I wanted to build, and if it didn't look like the Lego thing, so what? I liked it, and I flew my little spaceship around or whatever, and it was totally cool.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't that something we do in the classroom as well? It's my spaceship. I can make my spaceship look the way I want it to look. I can go.
It's okay to color outside the lines, like, and teachers should like give kids the permission to color outside the lines. I think sometimes we get really focused on what the one answer is and don't allow for the wider breadth of possible things kids could do. Yeah,
Um,
we did the logo turtle when I was in 6th grade, and it was like one of the most impressionistic experiences.
Lego has their what's it called? Brick. Uh, what is the thing called? Yeah, bits and bricks. So Lego does have. So if you're looking for a Lego coding, they do have bits and bricks. So this is another one that when the Kinders start rocking and rolling, it's all It's Kinder friendly. It's all game based. It'll work on the iPads.
The torso.
So you help him move straight down, really not threatening at all. And you can rock and roll. That's definitely
Problem solving, facing challenges, resilience, all that kind of stuff.
so it's a really cool situation to throw around with as well, and it's not going to be something that the it's not so alien to them that they're not going to want to play it. As Legos, I've seen Legos before. Let's play around with it. Even when if they get frustrated, it's more, hey, just put it down for a couple hours, kid, and go do something else and come back to it.
Going back to Schlechty's levels of engagement, your student is a customer, your student is a volunteer. So making or choosing things that are engaging to them is part of reaching that engagement.
Facts, facts, facts. So looking at it that way, man, I think there's a lot of not looking at time as absolute, but looking at time as fluid in terms of we might give up some time here in order to gain some time later on in the school year. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something else to kind of deal with the right now we're teaching with 24 hours rather than 6, and I think people haven't made that shift yet in a lot of ways. rather than saying I am going to go and dictate when this kid gets online and does X, Y, Z, whatever. I just had kids turn in assignments 45 minutes ago, like literally 45 minutes ago, and I'm seeing like, why do I care when you turn the assignment in, fam? As long as you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, kind of did disappoint me that we had to. They sent out progress reports on Friday for some strange reason, and I was like, okay, well, like realistically, what did the kid get graded on? But in the grand scheme of things, it is what it is. We're still in a world where we're still assessing people, even though assessing doesn't make lot of sense right now. But yeah, I think that there's a situation in which if you're looking at it in a 24-hour day, I have a lot more time for you to play because we can pick that time up at any other time and any other point in the future. But if you're looking at times absolute, that you absolutely have to do these 80 minutes of math in this very linear fashion, then of course you're going to not see that you have time for kids to experiment.
Also, this has basically forced every classroom to become one-to-one, right? Yeah. Every kid now has access to a device, or should. There may be 30,000 some in Clark County that still don't.
38.
But most kids have access to technology. Use that to your advantage. Use the fact that you don't have to worry about things being printed out anymore. Like that they can use digital options to submit assignments and write things out and share stuff. Like, don't limit yourself to the world you knew before, and connect with people that can help you move into that new digital world where you don't have to have have them email in assignments. You can use Google Classroom to keep a record of what's happening. You can use Canvas to keep a record of what's happening. And that way you're not worried. You're not like trying to figure out, what do I do? Did I get an email from this kid submitting this assignment? Blah, blah, blah.
Keep talking, Webbs.
Oh, I can't see you, so I don't know if you're there or not. I'm still talking. Where are you going? This has been such a bizarre episode, and I'm still talking. Such a bizarre episode. I don't know if it's because it's Sunday or because it's
I had to go
Tuesday or.
All right.
What?
I had to make sure the dogs were all right.
It's your turn, huh?
Yeah. Also remember that all tinkering does not have to be on the computer. That's the other thing
that's true.
A sheet of white paper is a dangerous weapon. All right. Drawing stuff. There are a lot of games you can play just on sheets of paper, just drawing characters and stuff and taking those characters and prototyping them. How do I take those onto the device now? How do I make those graphics on the internet where I can go and then take it and put it inside of Scratch and say, this is my original character in Scratch, and I want this too to be programmed, rather than have a scenario in which all your assignments I have to be glued to the computer. Like literally, I've got 15 notebooks all over the place on my floor here that I take up and I sketch in and I say, this is something cool I want to do, and I throw it back on the floor and I pick another one up and I sketch in it. So you can use sheets of paper still. That's not against the rules. Go ahead, Webbs.
I was going to say, one of my favorite games I played as a kid when we were waiting at restaurants. Do you remember eating in restaurants? Yeah. So my dad would take the back of the placemat and do just a grid of dots. He would draw a grid of dots, and we would just do the connect. He'd draw a line, then I'd draw a line, then he'd draw a line, then I'd draw a line. And when you closed a box, if you were the line that closed the box, you got to write your initial in the box, and you try to get the most boxes by the end of the game. Holy crap, I loved that game. I played it so much. And it's such a very basic game with pencil and paper. That's all it is. You could then take that and move it to, okay, now, because you're talking about logical thinking, spatial reasoning, fine motor skills. Now, what if I take that and I try to make an app out of it using, I don't know, PowerPoint or something? Or maybe I use one of the Tinker tools we talked about where you actually code it out, or there are lots of different directions you could go with that. It could be the challenge puzzle to get to the next level of a story that you're writing. And that's just some ideas with some pencil and paper game that I used to play with my dad. Taking things apart. I have recently, since I started doing software development, become very curious about the inner workings of stuff. So when things break, I will just take them apart to see what the insides look like. We didn't even get into some of the hardware stuff that you could do. If you got a Raspberry Pi kit or something like that. That Kano, yeah, that's another good one.
Joint. The other deal to deal with, especially I send this is something I send to my My nieces, for their birthday, every year they get something from this site. Tech Will Save Us. So Tech Will Save Us is great. They've got a bunch of very, very cool kits here. They've got a gaming system now. I just sent one of my nieces that gaming system. They've got tons of stuff that's pretty affordable on any budget. Really, really dope. And the best thing about it, do they have it? Yes. Where's my newsletter at? Yep. If you sign up for the newsletter, they'll send you really, really cool. They'll send you cool activities for your student to do that are both tech centered and then not tech centered. There's things you can do without any problems whatsoever. And their kits are really, really cool. I love their stuff. It's high quality. The Play-Doh one, you can. Where's the Play-Doh one? Hold on. The Play-Doh one I really dig. Electric dough. And so electric dough, you take Play-Doh and the kids learn about electricity and circuits and stuff from it's a really, really cool idea. So it's really cool. This one I think is like $20, something like that. Let me see, make sure I'm not totally crazy. Oh, actually, this is they have now updated their deals to $70. But there's a lot of really cool stuff that's here, and you can go buy a kid's age. So yeah, the electric store story kit is $25. All right, you get some electric dough. That's $10 there. It's $17. So it works with pretty much any budget. I used to buy those when we were back in normal school, face to face. I would buy them and have kids play around with those things. They have a very cool sound kit and things like that. I backed a lot of the stuff on Kickstarter as well. Kano, and so Kano is really, really dope. They have the Harry Potter deal. I bought the Avengers hand from them. You can build if you're going to go and buy a Chromebook, just buy Kano and let the kid build the Chromebook themselves. It's the same price in the grand scheme of things. They've got apps built into it. They've really done a good job of every iteration of their laptop has been better than the previous one. But I really they have a webcam now that's really cool. They've got some headphones. They got a mouse. They have a lot of really cool stuff that's inside here. That's will allow your kid to really play around with their stuff. I've got the coding kit for the Harry Potter deal, so that's really cool if your kid's in there. I've got like 14 of these motion sensor kits that really let you use your hand and throw things around and stuff on your computer. So really, really high quality products. The one product that I backed them on Kickstarter we were supposed to get a speaker that they never actually got around to. So other than that, I got no beef with the Kano people. They do pretty good work. I got no problems with them. I love the PC. It's a Windows 10 PC, but it's $300. You're going to spend that on a little crummy Chromebook anyway. Let the kid build it and figure out how the computer works in the first place, and you should be good to go. Webs, we're about 15 minutes over. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything to
Well, it's fine considering all the weird hiccups we had. And
it's strange. And Lovecraft came on at the same time. So perhaps it was like Cthulhu was tough. Maybe H.P. Lovecraft was like cursing the show tonight or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
No idea. But
I'm good.
Thursday, we're going to talk about digitefficiency and kind of like organization, which is kind of Webb's wheelhouse in terms of keeping yourself sane by organizing yourself online on Thursday. So we'll talk about that at 6. Hopefully the internet demons will be gone, be rid of us by then. And hopefully Cox doesn't do anything strange between now and Thursday.
Yeah.
Have a good Monday morning, everyone. Make sure you have
Happy Monday Eve.
Indeed. It's not usually Monday Eves are not happy occasions, so I'm not going to wish you happy.
We just need to reframe our thinking on that or something.
I think we need to not have Monday Eves anymore. Just need to go to
4-day work week.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know why that hasn't
Weekend Wednesday.
I don't know why that's the thing. My senior year of college, the second semester of my senior year of college, I set everything up that I had one class. That was a Thursday afternoon class. And it was wonderful. Like my weekend as 5 days every week. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful scenario. It's beautiful.
All right.
So you can go back to those days. Here we go.
You know what I'm
The thing, Patreon
saying? For
people,
us.
tomorrow you'll get to get the first installment of the gift assignment. It's going to utilize some of the processes we kind of looked at tonight. But like every kid should have their own custom gift packs. You should have your own custom gift packs as a teacher. Follow us on Patreon. You'll get kind of exclusive hoodlums type hustles just like that. And we will holla when we holla Thursday, 6 p.m. God bless America.
Bye, everybody.
Knows better.